Welcome to Chemistry 145. Let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Dr. Kelly. I am one of the two professors for this class. Mr. Winchester and myself are co-teaching this class. I will be the disembodied voice that you will hear on a weekly basis on your computer. Mr. Winchester will be the gentleman who you actually see every other Friday, face-to-face in lab. Either one of us, in theory, should be able to help you with what's going on. We both have access to this Blackboard shell. So emailing us, either one of us works. However, I have given you my email here on the syllabus. Couple quick things. Due to the fact that this is a dual credit course, we are accommodating the high school by offering this as a little bit of an unusual schedule. It's meeting every other Friday on these dates from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You need to be there promptly at 8 a.m. because you will be busy those entire 2 hours. In addition to those meeting times, be aware you're going to have a lot to do online. We have to make up those missing hours sometime, so you're going to be spending a lot of time with my disembodied voice on the computer. Lucky you. Good thing I sound like the pimply-faced teen from The Simpsons. You're also probably going to have to do 1 or 2 lab activities at home, 1 or 2 kitchen chemistry labs. And we'll talk about what those are as the semester goes along. This is a lab made to reinforce concepts in Chemistry 140. Chemistry 140 is a course designed for people going into agriculture, health sciences. And when I say health sciences, I mean, I'm not talking doctor, dentist, or even some types of nurses. I'm talking 140 is aimed at dental hygiene, dental hygienist. Nutrition is a common one. I usually have 2 or 3 nutrition majors in a section. Some agriculture programs require it. Those are the sort of people that are in this course. It's an American Chemical Society course, so it does have a certain standard it has to meet. There are certain laboratory techniques, methods, and instrumentations that you have to be familiar with and you have to do and participate in before the end of the semester. Materials and supplies. The first thing you have to buy is you have to buy chemical splash goggles. They have to be chemical splash goggles. You have to provide them. You should have been told to purchase some when you bought your books from the bookstore. I can't let you use safety shields. I will not let you use safety shields. I will not let you use wood chipper goggles. They must be chemical splash goggles. I strongly recommend you buy them from the bookstore. If you want, you can buy them at Lowe's, but make sure the package reads chemical splash goggles. You also need a cheap scientific calculator. I said scientific, not graphing. If you're paying more than 20 bucks for your calculator, you're buying the wrong calculator. If you have a $100 monster graphing calculator, oh my word, trying to use that in Chemistry 140 is like trying to use a bazooka when you're hunting squirrels. Not only that, but anything you bring into a chemistry lab, anything at all that enters a chemistry lab is considered forfeit to ruin. Accidents happen in chemistry lab. So anything that crosses the threshold of the door to the chemistry lab, you are accepting the fact that it may be ruined. So not only should you not bring a $100 graphing calculator in there, because you'd be out $100 if you drop a chemical on it. So that's why I recommend getting a $10 calculator. $10 scientific calculator will provide you all the calculating power you need. And if you get a chemical on it, you're out $20 as opposed to out $100. As long as we're on the subject, I bring this up because it's the most common item I see in there. I will have people show up sporting their $300, $500 fancy leather jackets. Bad idea! If you've got a leather jacket, you know it's finicky. You don't want to get the darn things wet most of the time. You'll utterly ruin it in a chemistry lab. So don't wear your leather jackets or your leather chaps or any other piece of clothing, right? This isn't church. You shouldn't be showing up in your Sunday best. You should accept the fact that any clothes you bring into chemistry lab may wind up getting acid holes in them or some such other chemical damage, such as bleaching or staining on them. So don't wear your Sunday bests. You will also need a periodic table. I provided you one in the Chemistry 140 lecture section that you could print off and use. And it'll prove useful in lab, so I recommend that you print off and bring a periodic table with you every day to lab. Course requirements. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's continue with, I just need to delete that. That doesn't really belong there. There we go. Help. The best way to contact me is through the question and help discussion board. I believe you already went through the protocol for the discussion help message board in the lecture section, so I won't belabor that point here. But I've set up a separate question help message board for lab, and you can use it to ask any questions you have. I do ask that you create a new thread when you want to ask a question. That way, A, I make sure that I see your message, and B, we're keeping the discussions under the same topic. I mean, if somebody else has posted the same question you have, by all means, jump in on their thread. But most of the time in this class, you probably need to create your own thread if you're asking a question. So you just come over here and you create a thread. Why is it not letting me create a thread? I will fix that very short. Oh, there it is. Create thread. Ta-da! Create thread. Hey, Dr. Kelly, how do you do question 3 on the pre-lab on safety, right? The more descriptive you can make the subject line in the thread you create, the better. So create a new thread whenever you want to ask questions. I'll check this Monday through Friday, at least once during that 24-hour period. Also, if you send me an email, make sure that you create a thread. These days, emails, they're nearly getting as bad as snail mail as in terms of getting to me. So make sure that you create a thread whenever you send me an email if you want to guarantee that you get a response. I do answer email. It's just I use that thread, those threads in the question help message board to determine the order that I answer emails in. So you will get a faster response if you post a thread saying, hey, I sent you an email. Better, even better, if you just post the question there for everybody to read, it's even better, unless it's dealing with your grade or something. Course requirements. Here's the big one. You are going to be doing your pre-labs online. You must complete the pre-labs by the day before lab. More importantly, you have to complete the pre-labs by this date in the syllabus, the day the pre-lab is due. If your pre-lab is not completed by the date here in the schedule, this is the last page of your syllabus. If you haven't completed the pre-lab activities the day that they're due, you can't do the wet lab. You can't do the wet lab. The last thing I will do, and I will do it because I'm used to being mean, and it doesn't faze me a bit, is if I am there, I will go through that pre-lab grade book. And if I see the pre-labs are undone, I will interrupt Mr. Winchester's talking, or I will pull you out of lab and send you home, because it's not safe to other people in the lab to have somebody in the lab who doesn't know what they're doing because they didn't listen to the pre-labs. So if you don't have those pre-labs done, then I will gleefully and delightfully kick you out of lab. So make sure you have those pre-labs due. Pre-labs are actually going to be, I need to change this here. I'm used to teaching Saturday lab, so I have to change a few things here. New pre-labs are going to be posted every Friday, and they're going to be due every Thursday. There will be some exceptions. The due time is always 11:59 p.m. EST, in other words, a minute before midnight. Eastern Standard Time, in case you're living in Grayson County. Most pre-lab assignments consist of 2 parts. And let's go over here and take a look. All your pre-labs are located in this folder labeled lab. And they're arranged by topic: safety, glassware, density. Let's go to density here. What you'll see is you usually see a series of videos. I usually have a series of YouTube videos for you to click and watch. When you watch them, you're going to hear me say some random words. You're responsible for writing down those random words. For example, right now, I'm going to say Nightwing. Right now, I'm going to tell you to write down Nightwing. And when you take your syllabus quiz here in a second, you're going to be asked what word I told you to write down. And the answer is going to be Nightwing. I'll hide at least 1 to 2 words in every single one of my pre-lab videos, and I'll ask you about them as part of the pre-lab quiz to guarantee that you actually watch the videos. So after you watch all these videos, you'll take a pre-lab quiz. Now, I give a lot of my pre-lab quizzes in a program called SoftChalk. So let's take a look. I'm going to open up your density pre-lab, and whenever you see this SCL symbol, that means your quiz is in SoftChalk. Click it open. Couple little things here. It's normal multiple choice with a couple exceptions. First, sometimes you'll open a quiz and it'll look blank. I've never given you a blank quiz. SoftChalk just likes to hide questions under quiz group headings. Click quiz groups and the questions will appear. Let me caution you, whenever you see the word quiz group, you need to click it and make sure there aren't questions hiding under it. Another thing that's important is, in addition to clicking your answers in SoftChalk, and I'm just answering randomly here, I have no idea, I'm not reading the questions, that's not the point. Right, clicking things with random. After you answer your questions, there are 2 important buttons. You have to click check answers. If you don't click check answers, you don't get a grade for the assignment. You get a 0, right? In order to get a grade, you have to click check answer. Hello? Are you listening? Make sure that you click check answer. Got your attention there. I hope your eardrums are okay. Click check answer. If you don't click check answer, your quiz won't be graded. You may have to click check answer more than once. All right. You also have to click finish. If you don't click finish, the computer doesn't save the answers that you click check answer for. If you don't click check answer, it just assumes that you've got them all wrong and gives you a 0. If you don't click finish, it doesn't record you as having answered anything. Don't email yourself a receipt. That's not necessary. The Blackboard gradebook records it. The Blackboard gradebook, by the way, whenever you log in, I see needs grading. My understanding is that in the student view, you see a grades. Oh, there it is. You see my grades over there. So those are your labs. Labs will also often contain, and this causes people a little bit of confusion, you'll also often see something labeled procedure. This procedure here is something you can print off and bring with you. It's not required that you print off and bring it with you. We'll have copies of it there for you, but this is the actual procedure for what you'll be doing that day in lab. For example, after you listen to all the density pre-lab stuff, you'll show up on the day listed in the syllabus, which is going to be I'm sorry, 126 on the 26th of January. You'll show up and you'll do this density lab based off the procedure that's given in Blackboard. So I often get asked, people will see this, they'll print it off, they'll download it, and they'll say, oh, I don't have the equipment to do this. Well, of course not. You're not in lab yet. The equipment will be there for you when you're in lab, right? You're not expected to do any part of this paper at home. All this paper is stuff that you're going to be filling out when you get to lab. All right. So you're going to be doing your pre-lab lectures online. Whoops, that's a meeting agenda I'm writing. I put it in bold here. Failure to complete pre-lab assignments may result in you not being allowed to participate in the wet portion of the lab. Again, I'm going to edit right here in front of you. Will result in you not being allowed to participate in the wet portion of lab. Make sure you're painfully aware of that. I do enforce that. Plan to spend at least 45 minutes listening to each lecture and at least 1 hour on the quizzes and exercises. Very important that you do realize that because of the snow days, we are massively behind. So you are going to have a very fun week. This week, you're going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4 different labs, right? So you've got about 6 hours of homework and 6 hours of lab work to grind through if you want to be able to participate on the 26th. If you haven't grinded through it, I am sending you home. Have I said that enough? Am I making my point? Attendance, vacations. There are no makeup labs. No makeup labs. Attendance is mandatory. If you miss more than 1 day of lab for any reason, you will be given a grade of E. Continuing in this course after today is acceptance of that policy. And my wife says I'm being too loud. I'm waking the kids. So I'll lower the volume a notch. I just got scolded. And now I've lost my train of thought. So much for professional behavior on my part.